So, I still remember the day like it was yesterday when I told my mum that I was going to be taking anabolic steroids. And it's not a sentence I ever thought I'd say out loud. It's not a conversation I ever thought that I'd have with my mum. But I want to tell you guys the truth about the journey of why I decided to hop on. Now, back in 2024, and in fact in 2023 as well, my health was not in a good place. I had constant redness in the skin. I was having depressive moods and symptoms. My sex drive and libido was all over the place. I felt anxious. I was struggling to gain muscle. I was so injury prone. And I just thought that there must be something deeper. There must be something behind this. It's the reason why this is happening to me. Not happening to me, but I just thought, like, why is it that I feel so shit? I was investing so much money into health supplementation, into my training, into coaching, eating well, sleeping as best I could. And the reality is, like, when I go back through everything, I do know that a massive reason that my test was so messed up was just because I was unbelievably stressed. Like, there are a few reasons why tests would dip that low, but the levels of stress I was experiencing over those 2 years was astronomical. And, I remember the kind of previous relationship I was in, and I just felt like, it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good time. So anyway, I had this gut feeling that something was up for quite some time, and I'd had some health scares in the past. Like, I remember when I got diagnosed with like an autoimmune disease because I've got arthritis in a few joints, being diagnosed as like ADHD as a kid. And then in 2024, through going through these struggles and going and kind of speaking to a therapist about how I was feeling, we were diving into quite a few things, diving into my past, diving into my childhood, and unpacking a lot of shit. And I'd honestly say, like, last year was probably like the hardest year of my entire life, which is a big thing for me to say because my childhood weren't easy. And I think what with going through everything I went through and just kind of almost like having to like fucking go through and purge it out, I remember getting maybe 6 or 7 sessions in to work with my therapist. And he said to me, he was like, George, have you ever read the book, Surviving and Thriving? I was like, no idea what you're talking about. And he sent me a link on Amazon, and the front cover, it says complex PTSD. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. So I got the book and read the audiobook. And I got about 4 or 5 chapters in, and it literally felt like every single page was like it had been written by me. And I've never related to something so hard in my life. So I remember kind of going through a few things and kind of speaking to my therapist about it, and talking to doctors and stuff like that. And I got diagnosed with complex PTSD, and that changed absolutely everything for me. So I started working on myself, journaling more, doing guided meditation. I was going to therapy twice a week. I did that for months, like literally months, and I'm glad I did it because it massively improved my emotional intelligence. And I just feel like it improved my awareness of myself and my awareness of other people. I became a lot more empathetic. I feel like I got people on a far deeper level. But still, even then, niggling away in the background, like, why am I not gaining muscle? Why am I not gaining strength? Why have I got no sex drive? Why do I feel like shit? Why is my confidence not where it used to be? So I drove from London all the way up to Manchester to visit a few clients and a few staff members. And when I got up there, I went to Atlas Labs, and they did my bloods for me. And they did my bloods. I remember driving back down. And again, this was the end of October, so it was just before my 29th birthday. And I think it was maybe a day before my 29th birthday. So it was the 26th of October. I'm pretty certain it was 26th of October. I remember getting a letter through. I remember getting an email. And I remember on the email, there was like several like red lines. And I thought, oh, this is worrying. And the red kind of things that were highlighted, I will say the majority of my bloods were very good because I was looking after my health. However, I had an insane amount of stress on my heart, which they said this is just from stress, which didn't surprise me. They said your thyroid basically isn't even working, which I was like, fuck, that now makes sense why I literally can't lose weight and why I have to do so much. And your testosterone, you need to look at that immediately. So I sent it across to my coach. I'll never forget, he recorded me a Loom video within the space of about 45 minutes. And in the Loom video, he always wears a hat. And I remember him taking his hat off and rubbing his head, and he just sat there with his hands above his head. And he looked directly in the camera and he was like, bro, I don't know how to say this, but he said, you've got the same testosterone as a 5-year-old girl. And suddenly everything made sense. And he said, I remember him saying to me on the thing, he was like, we're gonna have to go on TRT. He said, I personally think this is unfixable, it's that bad. I was thinking like, fuck, like, cause I wanted to compete in natural bodybuilding competitions. I wanted to compete in UK DFBA, I wanted to compete in BNBF. Like, it'd been my lifelong dream to do that. So I was thinking, fuck. And he was like, of course, he's like, this is completely your decision. He was like, we can, go through the protocols and do the things. But he said, for me personally, and then he leant in, he said, I'm begging you to take testosterone. He said, it's that bad. I thought, fuck. So I was like, right, let's go for the NHS and do it properly and this and that and everything else. I'm researching and I'm studying, and as far as I'm aware, they're going to recommend me to take like 150 milligrams testosterone a week, right? Or whatever, because that's like TRT. And I told that to my coach, and he just shook his head. He was like, bro, he's like, that's not going to do anything for you. He's like, that won't do a thing. He said, I coach a lot of female athletes and we'll do their bloods. He said, yours is like significantly lower than theirs, even if theirs is bad. It's like, fucking hell. So literally I made that decision. And, you know, we completed a photo shoot, must have been like 1 or 2 weeks after that. Then decided obviously to go down the route of taking testosterone. And honestly, guys, I've got to say, like, I never look back. Like, I didn't think that it was something I was ever going to do. There was a time where I felt like embarrassed or ashamed, or I felt like an idiot, or, you know, I've never been someone to judge other people for taking drugs, because I mean, fucking hell, if you saw my life during my 20s, like, yeah, like, you know, I'm not a judgmental person at all with that kind of stuff. However, I never thought that it would be me. And I did actually mention it in a few YouTube videos. However, I recognize now that it was buried. It was really buried in videos. It was like half an hour into a video. So I wanted to make a video specifically about my journey with testosterone and about, you know, how it's been. And honestly, guys, like, I'm not trying to glorify it at all. And I don't want everyone to like rush out and be like, oh, let's jump on gear or whatever. But like, I wanted to tell my mum straight up, like, look, mum, these are my bloods. This is what it means. This is what it's done to my health. This is why I feel the way that I do. I mean, she was really worried about me because I kept just feeling like horrendous all of the time. And she was really concerned about me. And when I told her and I explained what was going on, she was like, you know what, I completely support that. I get it, I understand. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I fucking hate having a like jab, and it's jarring the fact that like I have to take tests, but honestly, like, I don't think I'd ever go back. If I did, I'd just go down to DRT, but it's completely changed my life. Like, I've got my confidence back, I've got my life back, I can recover now, my training's going better. Overall, I just feel like a lot better for it. In terms of like side effects and stuff like that, so far, touch wood, I've not really had any like negative side effects, I guess. Like, the only thing I have noticed, and this is both a positive and a negative depending on how you look at it, is I'm a little bit more aggressive. And what I mean by being a little bit more aggressive is I can get more work done, I can be a bit more productive, I can push myself harder, I can do more stuff. The downside to that is that if you don't then look after your mental health, that can then pour over into other areas of life. And this isn't me saying that I've just been like fighting everyone, because I haven't, because that's not the reality of it. But I feel the dominant male hormones that a guy should feel, I just feel more of that. So instead of feeling like all like emotional and kind of like, oh, like overthinking things and worrying about stuff, and like, I don't really get that anymore. Like, I don't really overthink, I don't really worry. And that was the George of 5 years ago. So I feel like I've just basically brought him back plus a little bit extra. But yeah, guys, we're gonna go train at Benoist now. I just wanted to open the video by kind of like talking about that journey. If anyone's got any questions on what that looked like, then please ask. I wanted to build this video. The reason I want to do this is because I've coached hundreds and hundreds of guys, and not that many guys talk about hormones because they're almost like embarrassed to. So I want to like raise a conversation of, if you feel like you're doing everything right and you just feel shit, please go and get your bloods done. Because since I told my clients about my journey, I've had probably about 10 or 15 of them go get their bloods done, and almost all of them were okay, and quite a few of them were like very much in the low range. And then obviously just from advice and us having chats, like, they were able to raise it. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's my journey. I'm going to talk through a little bit now in the gym about what my goals, what my physique, what my progress, what like bodybuilding, what business looks like moving forwards with this new information, and we'll catch you there. Obviously, just spoke you guys through the testosterone that I'm currently taking. Now, I thought I'd show you the app that my coach has me on at the moment, Kahunas. I personally love Kahunas. I think it's a brilliant app. Like, when I was coaching my clients, and when I do coach my clients, I use Google Sheets because I'm really fucking old school. I just like them. However, for usability, Kahunas is great now. Let me just show you something real quick. So if we go to supplementation now, earlier I said, I've not really seen any like negative things taking testosterone. What I would say though is the supplements you take alongside are incredibly important. So I'll tell you what, if we come in here for a second and I'll kind of like show you, this is the side to being on gear that a lot of people don't see. So you guys may be thinking at home, oh, maybe there's like 2 or 3 things, but the reality is creatine, touch higher, omega-3s, you know, to increase EPA and DHA. Vitamin C and vitamin D will be depleted when you're on testosterone. So we need to be making sure we're supplementing with a good amount of vitamin C and a good amount of vitamin D. Even with living in Dubai, you want to be making sure you're taking a heightened amount of vitamin D. Now, the human body can absorb 10,000 IU of vitamin D per day. So we're currently on 9,000, you know. A lot of vitamin D that you'll get from places like Holland and Barrett, Boots, Sainsbury's, stuff like that, genuinely only have about 1, maybe 2,000 IU. So in my personal opinion, vitamin D is actually something that you don't want to go cheap on. Go for the more expensive stuff. It will make a huge difference to you. Then as well, magnesium. So in my opinion, I think that everybody's depleted in magnesium. And what magnesium is going to do is going to help you switch from a sympathetic state, which is like a stress state with high cortisol, to a parasympathetic state. We've got glutathione, which is just fantastic for overall health. I prefer liposomal glutathione because the liquid form I find has a higher permeability. It just passes through the gut lining a lot easier. And then we've got the supplements that are going to be a lot more specific to obviously taking gear, right? So we've got organ defense, just because we want to look after organs. Nattokinase. Now, what nattokinase is essentially, if you're, I mean, again, like depending on like what kind of cycle you're on and stuff like that, but this helps to clear any kind of, this is going to sound horrible, clear any kind of like arteries from clogging or any kind of, if you are overweight, if you are holding too much body fat, if you are unhealthy, drinking lots of alcohol, having lots of sugar, in my opinion, this would still be a helpful supplement for you. But ultimately, like if you're exogenously raising your testosterone like to super physiological levels, I just think that nattokinase is a fantastic supplement. And then the final few you would then be taking would be Joint Complete. I purely take that because of my arthritis. Circulatory Complete, just for helping with circulation, what with obviously having tests. Glutamine, to be fair, I didn't used to say this, but it helps with digestion. And then telmisartan, just so that we can actually bring down, well, if you're not taking telmisartan on test, then you're stupid, because that's going to help with, you know, bringing estrogen back into a level that we want it. And shout out my coach here. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I wish I was, but Joe's sponsored by Conte. So if you want to use Joe's fucking code, then use Joe10 and you'll get 10% off. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's all right. It almost was like a behind the neck press. You know what's interesting actually is I saw someone recently basically disprove the whole behind the neck press thing. You know that how everyone says it's terrible? His argument that apparently from a standpoint of where fibers cross the front shoulder joint, that's a good move. I don't know. For me personally, I always want my shoulders here, so I feel like I'm gonna like fucking snap the shit up. But hey ho. I will say though, like, if you're ever in Benoos, genuinely, I'd say nine times out of 10, Black Power kit is like fucking unbelievable. That or the Prime kit in here. The Prime kit in here is sensational. But I would love to know in the comments actually, for those of you who have been to Dubai, if you prefer Oxygen or if you prefer here. I personally prefer Oxygen. That's my preference. However, it's fucking miles away from anything. And Nathan, if you're watching this, bro, one of my friends, Nathan, he wants to get a villa next to Oxygen, and literally every day wake up in the morning, walk across to Oxygen, train, go to coffee shop, work, come back to the villa, have like our own office spaces and stuff. Would be sick. Would literally feel like a big brother villa full of just like coaches and mentors. Well, yeah, we'll see. We will see. If one day you see a YouTube video of like 10 coaches living in a villa, it means that I said yes to Nathan. That feels unbelievable. Nice, man. Yeah, so literally all I'm trying to think about on that, which I was just explaining, is like, whenever you're training lats, you always want to think about your rib cage. So like, let's say, for example, we're doing like a pull down, right? If you want to be hitting your lower lat, you want your diaphragm to be down. So you're kind of targeting more of the kind of lower lateral fibers. Lateral, you know what I mean? And if you're training like upper back or upper lat, you want to have your rib cage raised. Now, with this particular movement, if you were doing like a single arm movement, what you want to be conscious of is like, right, your lat is not fully stretched here. It's fully stretched from your arm kind of adducts across the body. So for that exact reason, setting yourself up so that you're more so instead of being like fucking here and rowing into this position, you almost want to position yourself in such a way, you allow a little bit of rotation, you allow yourself a little bit of a side lean, and suddenly you've gone from here to a little bit of rotation, lock yourself in position here, and then bam. There's no need to bring your elbow back here because you're just taking all the tension off the lat, but just literally lean to the side, there. And you almost want to feel like, I mean, there's not much weight on here, so, but what you want to feel like is you're almost trying to wrap your lat around your rib cage. It's fucking delightful, mate. Bro, so I talk about this stuff and I do miss physique coaching. Like, I love it. I think this is why I like mentoring, is because like, I think that what I've noticed is that there's a bit of a trend of a lot of mentors who like only talk about business, and I completely get that. Like, a lot of our trainings and webinars and check-ins are like, it's lead generation, it's sales, it's marketing, it's content, it's funnels, it's VSLs, it's all this stuff. However, I'd never ever want any of my clients to lose the art of coaching, actually understanding what goes into getting a client a fantastic result, whether it be their training, whether it be mindset, recovery, nutrition, you know, actually understanding the human body. Like, it's something that I'm always gonna be mad passionate about. It's funny because I never do any videos on this, but I'd actually say I'm probably, in terms of like where my passion lies within coaching, I'm more driven by human psychology and nutrition than I am by training. But either way, this is still like the fucking one of the biggest highlights of my day. So what I will say, guys, is like, for anyone who's ever like interested in just like learning more about training in general, we do like a weekly call on this. I mean, we've also got 85, I think, quite a lot. It's fucking loads. We've got like 85 videos within our community platform on getting sick results. It's just that a lot of coaches join, they're like, leads, and it's like, yes, we're gonna get you leads, but you become a better coach, you're gonna have more leads by default from doing that. So just something to remember, guys.
Rip is top, prop, on tops, right off, be pure.
I'm gonna give you guys an exclusive just because I'm an absolute G. The people who can actually be bothered to watch my YouTube, right? Look at this, I'm gonna get told off for this, give me 2 seconds. If anyone knows who Jack Jacks is, JJ Transformations, me and him are gonna put on an event next year. We're gonna collaborate on it. There's gonna be over 100 coaches in one room, probably in January, probably in London. And the tickets, like, this is gonna be a non-profit event. We are literally gonna do one day and one day only. We're gonna make it affordable for every single coach, whether you're just getting started, if you've got 5 clients, 10 clients, even if you've got fucking 100 clients. Jack is running a phenomenal business. He's built an amazing brand. It's like multiple 6-figure business. Obviously, I'll then be coming in with like more of the business acumen side of things. But I'm telling you now, like, if you're a coach watching this, try and keep some weekends free in January, because we're gonna be running a fucking massive event. And we're gonna be collaborating with lots of different coaches to bring everybody in. So, heard it here first. We were talking off camera just then about like the idea of, you know, being inspired by other people doing well in the industry. And I wanted to say something, right? I mean, I'll keep names out of it because I don't want to like get people involved in like petty dramas and things. But I've seen in the past like year a lot of hate from like mentor to mentor, from brand to brand, company to company. And the way I see it, right, is you literally, with that kind of stuff, you have 2 options. You either see something that pisses you off and you become insecure about it, or you become inspired by it. And look, I'll be transparent with you guys. Like, there are some mentors, both in Dubai, in the UK, like all over the world, who are obviously more years in the game, more experience, all this kind of stuff, like bigger pages. And I look at those guys, I think like they're making me better, because I look at what they're doing, I'm like, that's fucking sick. If they can do that, you know, they've got the same hours in the day that I have, they've got the same, you know, we've all got access to the same information. Like, why would that stop me from getting there? It's like anyone who's seen the Arnold documentary when Arnold was talking about Sylvester Stallone. Like, I mean, fuck, you know, I'm naming one here, I'm not afraid to name him. Like, you know, Charlie. I know me and Charlie are competitive, and he pushes me. I see him in the gym and I'm like, right, okay, cool. So I see what he's doing, I'm like, right, okay, I need to improve. And I know that he's seen things that I do, and he's like, right, I need to improve. And I love it, you know, it's competitive, it's fun, it's exciting, you know, that's how it should be. Instead of when you see people calling other mentors out online and saying, oh, this guy's a dick, and this guy did this, and this guy did that, and da-da-da, it's like, I think if we just focus on our own businesses, push each other, motivate each other, support each other, and also like, if you see something that pisses you off, like, think to yourself, like, what is it in you that allows you to get pissed off about that thing? But yeah, one final note on that I will say actually is, if you look at like the best coaches in the industry, particularly in Dubai, they're all unbelievably level-headed. And what I mean by that is, you meet them in person, and if they've had like a big month or a bad month, monk mode. If they've just signed up 10 clients in a week, or they've lost 10 clients in a week, monk mode, you know? I met up with a coach the other day, and I was like, how's tomorrow looking to you? And the following day, he had 9 sales calls going on. And he's not like, oh, begrudged, like, oh, I got 9, oh, it's gonna be so long. It's like, oh, you've got 9 calls. It just like becomes the norm. So I think like a piece of business advice that I'd give anybody who's like really looking to like push things forward is, understand that if somebody is pissing you off, think to yourself, like, what is it within me that I need to fix there, number one. Number two, if someone makes you feel insecure, okay, that's fine. Use it as inspiration. And number three, like, also, don't be afraid to like reach out and talk to these guys, because more often than not, they have information that you don't. I mean, fuck, I just mentioned Charlie on here. We were on the Stairmaster for about 35, 40 minutes the other day because neither of us were getting off, because we were both just like asking each other about business and feeding each other's brains. And that's what I think that the industry needs more of, is irrespective of who someone is or what business they run or whatever, like actually collaborate more. But that's my 2 cents anyway. Right guys, that concludes today's session. We've just come to Peak in Dubai just to kind of do a cold plunge, some sauna, just to get some active recovery in. This is definitely something I found, like, since starting to take testosterone, I want to be making sure that I'm optimizing my health as much as I physically can. I think it'll be very easy to just get carried away and just be blasting all these compounds and things, but really just ensuring that I'm looking after my health, because, you know, I want to have a family, I want to have kids, I want to keep all my blood working in a good place. And we actually ran some bloods 4 weeks ago, and it's the best it's ever been. You know, everything was in a fantastic spot. The only thing that was lacking was the vitamin D, which is why we've now kind of upped that to 9,000. So yeah, we're gonna finish off here. This cold plunge is fucking brutal. So if you do come along, if you get the premium room that we're in at the moment, this is genuinely way colder than a normal room. So do bear that in mind. And also some red light therapy behind us as well. One thing I will actually just say before we round off this video, if you live in Dubai, your white blood cell count will be lower due to all of the artificial light that you're constantly around, either from just buildings or just like being inside like light all the time and all of the aircon. So because your white blood cell count will be lower, you must make sure you do some form of red light therapy. Maybe not weekly, but potentially monthly would be very important, because what you'll find is that when you come back to the UK and suddenly you've got fresh air and you're not around all these stimulating lights all the time, you will genuinely feel a little bit healthier. But other than that, guys, if anyone in the comments wants to know any more about kind of like, you know, testosterone or kind of what that was like or the experience of it, then please do let me know. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.